Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good afternoon. Yang berhormat Menteri Datuk Rohani, yang berhormat Timbalan Menteri and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be here today to contribute my ideas and also to share some of my experiences while sitting in various boards. Some are, of course, public listed companies, and some I've resigned from those public listed companies and to concentrate on my own business, and I continue to sit in like 6 or 7 boards of Sdn Bhd, and a few of them are actually on the way to be public listed. So, and with all these experience, I noticed that many companies are actually changing, and there is a gap between what would the companies be doing now in the boards, and how would the board behave, and what would be the boards of the future. Yeah. So the boards of the future, there are many dynamism should be injected there, and many boards I notice are also looking into the future. How do they transform those boards and the companies to be digital companies, to be more active in the market, and how to be more active in the promotions, for example. So there are many issues being discussed at the boards, and of course one of them is how to diversify the board membership. Yeah, many boards that I'm in are also looking for women, and I have been advising them that the Ministry of Women Development has a host of lists of capable women like who we are today in this hall. I'm proud to see many of my friends are here, and I know many of them are also sitting in some boards, but I think we need to be more proactive in making ourselves more visible. That was what we discussed just now with Yang Berhormat Minister. Even though you're good, you must make sure that you are really, really good in what you are doing, and you are visible. People know that you are good. Then only they will come and approach you. By being in the list alone, Yang Berhormat, is not enough. I've done that in some of the boards that I'm in. They wanted to diversify. They were looking for women directors. But when I gave the list, they said, we don't know these people, you know. Who are they? And I would get from Anne, actually, those days, yeah, Anne, I got from you the profiles of those companies. Unfortunately, some boards are not really serious. It's just a matter of putting those items in the agenda that they are looking for women. But when I gave the profile, none of them were called for any interviews or even chatting. Yeah. So then I realized that those boards are not serious about their intention of getting more women on boards, you know. So these are some of the experiences that I've seen, but many companies that I sit in are serious about diversifying their board membership by taking in professional ladies, professional women in their areas of focus. So comes back, since we will have more time to discuss this, so I would urge all my friends here to be visible in whichever capacity you're in now, so that when you leave your permanent job, you will be chased after. People will come and look for you. But once you're in the board, then we have to ensure that we can perform. Yeah. So meaning that before you go in, when you receive the offer to be in boards, especially public listed companies, you must be ready to give your time to know the operation of the company. You must be familiar with the industry, and you must be ready to read all the board papers so that you can participate in the board meetings, for example. Yeah. But of course, there are some boards that are not serious about taking in women. I've seen some who just wanted women to be in the board to fulfill the quota. Yeah. And there are many experiences. I'm sure many of us have gone through that. But whatever happened, I think it is up to us to ensure that we are successful. We cannot be discouraged by how people treat you in the board. You cannot be discouraged by not having experience or knowledge about what they are talking about. So you must do your homework, and there are many things that I think we could be touching this in the advice for the women in sharing our experience later. So these are some of my observations, but one more important advice that I would say is that, my idea is that there should be a change in the manner how the nomination committee look for new board members. Yeah, it cannot be just over a chatting period, over tea. They ask, "Hey, who do you know that we could bring into the boards?" You know, so then of course then the answer is the women must be visible, you know, or the men must be visible to be called in. So I think there must be a more serious effort in many boards to look for skills, and rather than who you know, yeah, because they in turn could be disappointed when they brought in a woman director, and the woman director might disappoint or could not meet their expectations. Yeah, this is why I say that we must be really, really good in whatever we do, so that we ensure that we are visible and people know that we are really good in what we do. Then you will be called in. It's not the list, so much the list. Of course, the list helps a lot, but on top of the list, you must be visible. You must be known by those target companies that you aspire to be in. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Datuk Wira. Thank you so much. And our last panel, Datuk Syed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang dihormati, yang berhormat Datuk Seri Rohani Abdul Karim, Menteri Pembangunan Wanita, Timbalan Menteri, Pegawai Bekanan Kementerian, ladies and gentlemen. I stand in front of you today partly because of the invitation of Datuk Aziz. And I would like to seize this opportunity to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, my experience for the past few years in terms of sitting at the board. If you trace the background, most people think that when they retire from the government or when they leave their job, the best thing is to become board of directors. Because they think that board of directors is non-executive and the responsibility is borne by the management. If ever, ladies and gentlemen, you have that particular idea, you better erase it immediately. Because the role of board of directors nowadays becoming more complex. Complex because there is very high expectation from the stakeholders. And that is very, very important. Because of the high expectation from the stakeholders, along the way the regulatory requirement also change. And if you look at the various regulatory requirements, perhaps the simple one, if you look at the Companies Act, it is clearly stated that the responsibility of the directors is almost equal as the management, because you have fiduciary duty in order to ensure that the companies are being managed properly. And you can see many examples starting from Enron, ladies and gentlemen, that you might have read. And there are so many other cases that happen in Malaysia. So as such, you must be very clear that when you sit in boards, you ask yourself why you are there. And most of you, I believe, when you join boards, you try to be independent, non-executive directors. And you please underscore the word independence. You are supposed to be independent of the owner. If you are there just to protect the owner, then you may not fulfill that regulatory requirement and can put you in some difficulties when come to the various decisions that the company make. So I would like to put clearly here, expectation is very high. As you are aware, in Malaysia, there are minority shareholders that you have to consider and take care of the interests. And if not, during the annual general meeting, you will be questioned. You must know that the regulatory requirement keep on changing. And if you are in the directors of financial institutions, the requirement tend to be more stringent under Financial Services Act, whereby if you are not careful, you can go even to jail and fine such a substantial amount. So what I want to drive at the outset here is that it is good to be directors. It is highly respected, but don't be carried away by that. Always remember the expectation and the regulatory requirement of directors tend to be very severe if you don't fulfill. Let me stop my introductory remark at that stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato'. Thank you.